And as the battle between winter and spring continues, we're going to be looking at some serious severe weather and flooding over the next 24 to 72 hours from the Central Plains into parts of the Ohio Valley, upper Mississippi River Valley, into parts. And as the battle between winter and spring continues, we're going to be looking at some serious severe weather and flooding over the next 24 to 72 hours from the Central Plains into parts of the Ohio Valley, upper Mississippi River Valley, into parts of the interior Northeast. And not only that, severe weather and flooding will also be looking towards the middle of the month of some snow across the lakes into parts of the Northeast and some coastal systems as well, where some areas could be looking at a tornado threat, especially as we head into the overnight hours of Wednesday into Thursday morning. And we'll also be looking at your tropics here across the Caribbean, Gulf, all across the Western Atlantic. We could see a few areas that do resemble tropical waves. Let's get into it. All right, so let's take a look at your future radar here. I'm just going to go over the winter weather aspect because it's not going to be that major here. As we look at the upper Midwest, parts of northern Wisconsin, Michigan, as we stretch through late morning here on Wednesday, you can see that heavy snow moving up through Minnesota. It does start to move into parts of the Adirondacks, White Green Mountains here in northern New England, but eventually the warm air wins out here. So let's switch over to our convective mode here. Severe weather is going to be a thing, and look at this. As we head through the early morning hours, Iowa into Illinois, Indiana, we're going to have a couple squall lines here. Look at this, 10 a.m. on your April 2nd here, Wednesday morning. You can see a squall line moving to the parts of west central part of Ohio here into southern Ohio, northern Kentucky. That moves east. We're going to watch these convective elements continue. It is going to be a really busy day. This turns more into a heavy rain and embedded thunderstorms into parts of the Northeast here. So let me just back this up. Look at, you'll be increasing clouds throughout the day, and the I-81 corridor, by 4 or 5 p.m., the rain and storms will be on your door. Now, watch to the west here. This is where things really get blasting here. Look at this line. This is going to be that enhanced risk. Look at this just blossom through 11 p.m. This is going to be a nocturnal event. I am deeply concerned about nocturnal tornadoes here as we head later on into the evening and overnight hours of Wednesday. So eastern Arkansas, western Tennessee here. Look at this all the way up to Detroit area, Toledo, Indiana, western Kentucky. Watch out. This is 3 a.m. Things could get really ugly here in these areas. So western Tennessee all the way up here into northern Ohio by this point. As we head into 5 a.m., look at it. It turns basically into a massive squall line here. So we're going to be looking at severe weather continuing through Cleveland, Canton, down to Columbus, all the way down to Jackson, Tennessee here. And then look what starts to happen. Yeah, it does start to move into the Northeast. It does start to weaken, but this front starts to bog down, and we get this other area of low pressure starting to surge along it here. So we're going to continue to watch for that. As heavy rain, we transition more to a heavy rain event up into the Ohio Valley, into parts of the interior Northeast. Look at this as we head on into April 4th, right on into your Friday, 2 a.m., Friday morning. Lots of thunderstorms with heavy rain lining up here. And looking at your severe weather outlook for your Wednesday. This is going to be a very dangerous day from northern Texas all the way up into parts of western Ohio and then stretching back through the plains here, especially across the upper Mississippi and Ohio River valleys here. Look at this. This is the enhanced risk in the orange and a rare moderate here into the red. So watch out. This could be a very dangerous day, and this is going to stretch actually into Wednesday night, especially as we head to the east here. And on Thursday, this moves just ever so slightly to the south and to the east, northeast Texas, all the way to southwest Pennsylvania. All these points in between are in that slight risk, and this more transitions towards the weekend into a heavy rain event. So as we pick up where our future radar left off, this is what we're going to continue to watch here as we head on into the overnight Wednesday night into Thursday. Look at this squall line. This is a nocturnal squall line. This could be really serious business moving through Cleveland, Cincinnati, Louisville, Memphis, and down into parts of Arkansas. Eventually, Buffalo, Pittsburgh getting in on the act at 5 a.m. on your Thursday morning here. So this is looking pretty bad as this moves east. It will weaken as it moves east, though. We'll take a look at those wind fields as well with this system because it does look pretty intense. And then we get another wave of low pressure riding along it here. We just zoom out a bit. You can see that heavy snow out here into parts of the Rockies. And more heavy rain just continues. You can see southern Ohio, parts of Kentucky, down in through parts of the Mississippi River Valley. This is where we're going to continue to see this heavy rain as we head through April 4th. Look at another surge of moisture and severe weather as we head into April 5th. So you get the idea as we head towards the end of the week. We're going to be looking at heavy rain and severe weather once again pushing up from the deep south, the southern plains, and then heavy rain overriding into parts of the northeast as well. So this is going to set us up for a very rainy weekend here across much of the east. Look at this, dragging cold air here into the panhandle of Texas. We're going to surge that moisture here to the north. Got some snow, sleet, and freezing rain here in northern New England. But look at this as we head into April 5th. Look at this. More intense, severe weather all the way up into parts of northern Ohio, central Ohio, southern Ohio, down and through western Tennessee and Kentucky, and stretching towards the Gulf Coast. So we're going to continue to watch it here. This looks pretty intense as we head through April 6th. The rain just continues. Now, I know areas further east, you definitely need the rain, but unfortunately, we're going to really start to pile the rain on here from the Gulf Coast, Mississippi River Valley, up to the Ohio River Valley. It's going to be too much of a good thing. Now, look at this. The backside of this system on April 6th, things start to get a little bit interesting here. Some wet snow mixing in 5 p.m. on Monday or Sunday, April 6th here. So just to round out the weekend, the end of the weekend here, that looks pretty interesting. Let me just back that up just a little. So yeah, on the backside of this, you could be mixing out in upstate New York as well. So we'll watch it here. Severe weather continues across much of the southeast here to the Outer Banks come April 7th. And look at this. We have a little clipper here April 7th, moving through some snow showers. Not going to accumulate much here, but we could have some lake enhancement as well. And then our next system here, April 9th, yeah, the northern fringe might have some wet snowflakes around Toledo here, Detroit, so watch out. Northern parts of the mid-Atlantic here into the interior northeast, like New York State in particular. So we'll watch it here. We get a coastal low trying to develop here around April 11th. So this is going to bring some beneficial rain to parts of North Carolina and Virginia. This is going to surge to the north here. And look at this. This is a classic coastal low right here in springtime. So it's going to be mostly rain, but then you see northern New England here mixing out, and then maybe some wet snow on the backside as well. And then the next system looks like a clipper, April 13th. So looking at the European model here, there is our convective potential here as we head on to Wednesday night. Look at that, pushing towards the upper Mississippi River Valley, the Ohio River Valley becoming a solid squall line in the overnight hours of Wednesday night into Thursday morning across Ohio, all the way down into western Tennessee, northeast Texas here. Look at that head to the east. It does weekend, becomes more of a rain event. And into Friday, look at this bubbling up here across Ohio here, all the way down in the same areas. The upper Mississippi River Valley into the Ohio River Valley. We're going to see that threat continue, that heavy rain and severe thunderstorm threat. Look at this Saturday morning. Really rocketing up into parts of northwestern Ohio, Indiana, all the way down and through the plains here. We could be looking at a serious severe weather outbreak into parts of Texas as well. Look at this just lining up. Heavy rain threat all the way up to the eastern Great Lakes. And as we head through later Saturday, another area of low pressure winding up along it. So we're going to watch those same areas over and over again get pummeled by strong thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, and flooding and flash flooding. As we head into Sunday, this slowly pivots to the east, the severe threat kind of weakening here as we head into early Monday. On the Gulf Coast, another little wave of low pressure starts to get organized. As we go a little bit further out here on the European model, you can see things are much colder as they were on the GFS model as well. So look at this as we go out here in time. Friday, the 11th, look at this. We get this cutoff low across the east. Lots of showers, and it does try to bring up some tropical moisture on the east side of it here. So we're going to be looking at rainy times ahead through the middle of the month. This is the 13th. Could be looking at a coastal storm just winding up here across the east. So Right around the same time, the GFS is hinting at a big coastal storm as well, so the models are in pretty good agreement. Wet snowflakes here on the backside. Looking at our wind field here with our system, yeah, there's going to be a massive amount of wind with this, not just in the thunderstorms, in and around the storms, but also as we stretch through midday Wednesday, look at these wind gusts expand eastward here. Parts of Ohio getting into the upper 40s, near 50, especially those lake shores near 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And as we stretch on into the overnight Wednesday into Thursday, look at this. Yeah, some of these yellow zones upward of 60 miles an hour gusts. And look at this as we head through. Here we go. So Thursday, early Thursday morning, this is really concerning. This is a lot of wind. As we stretch on into midday Thursday, you start to see it get into parts of the Northeast. It's mainly upstate New York, especially the ridge tops getting, 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts here. But you can also see coastal areas as we stretch later on into the day on Thursday here. Here's, getting into the afternoon hours, Cape Cod area, upwards of 65 mile per hour gusts. So we're going to watch for these wind gusts pulling off the coast as we head through Thursday night. And if we take a look at a liquid equivalent precipitation amounts here on our GFS model, yeah, this is getting really dangerous as we head. This is just through Saturday. Look at this. This is going to get really ugly here. So let's just zoom in. Some of these areas, northern Arkansas, western Tennessee, Kentucky, southern parts of Ohio, some of these areas could be getting 6 to 12 inches of rain. Even all the way up into parts of northern Ohio, close to 4 inches in these areas. This is not looking good. And some beneficial rain up here in the Northeast, these purple shading in the 1 to 2 inch range. So that is some good news. Now, as we just cruise along on our rainfall amounts, thankfully, it looks like we do start to see a shift more towards the East Coast, which really does need the rain towards the middle of the month. But we do blossom this area here into the Ohio Valley and parts of western Pennsylvania, close to 4 to 5 inches. And taking a look at our European model run here, let's just take a look at this. So if we go further out, yeah, here we go. So as we head through Friday into Saturday, European is showing very similar amounts here. If we just zoom in, Arkansas, Northeast Texas. Yeah, some of these areas could be approaching a foot of rain. So widespread amounts of 4 to 8 inches. Look at this. Even into northern Ohio, Cleveland, right around 5 inches. Toledo, just south of Toledo, upwards of 8 inches. Northwestern Pennsylvania, 4 to 5 inches. This type of rain will cause a lot of flooding across the area. And as we just continue through time, this takes us all the way through April 16th. You see we expand this into the interior Northeast, parts of northern and northeast Pennsylvania, the Catskills, Poconos, getting into that 4 to 6 inch range. All right, so let's take a look at snowfall amounts here. So yeah, the European does show a little bit of snow on the backside of that system Sunday night into Monday and Tuesday here into the mountains of West Virginia as well. So yeah, all in all, we're looking through Wednesday, April 16th. Not a whole lot of snow unless you're into the upper Midwest, obviously the 6 to 12 inch amounts into northern New England. And if we take a look at the GFS here, let's see what we're showing here on our GFS. There we go. So the upper Midwest, that's where you're going to see those 6 to 12 inch amounts, the Dakotas, parts of northern Minnesota. Backside of that system on Sunday into Monday, maybe up to a slushy inch or two in some of these snowbelt areas. We'll have to keep an eye on this. Look at this, though. GFS going crazy around Tuesday next week into Wednesday across parts of the northern Northeast. This is looking really crazy. Not sure if I'm buying this just yet, but parts of Michigan, Northeast Ohio, especially northeast of Cleveland, Erie, upwards of a foot of snow. We'll keep an eye on it here. Stranger things have happened into April, but, northern New England definitely looks like you're going to see the snow really crank up here. And looking at our upper air pattern here, as you can see, that Firecracker Ridge just continuing across the east through the weekend before we lose it. Look at that. Right around April 8th, 9th, this is that much advertised East Coast trough just in time for the first part of spring here. But here we go. We're going to see a lot of activity along the East Coast. And as we look at the Euro run as well, there it is. Massive ridge across the East Coast. And then we start to lose it here right around the 9th. So both models really showing a lot of storminess, even, right through the middle of the month here. NAO index here, we are actually going from neutral down to negative here through the middle part of April. So that signifies more blocking patterns, stormy conditions will ensue across eastern North America. And here we go with our MJO index. We are hovering right, I know it's really hard to see this, but we're hovering right between phase 7 and 8 here. We're just going to bounce around a bit here. Some of the models, about 25% of the models take us towards phase 1, which should be very active. The other models keep us in 7 and 8, and, about a third of the models bring us actually quieter towards 5 and 6 within 15 to 30 days. We'll keep an eye on it here. And I just wanted to show you here the upper level pattern here for the GFS model, the polar vortex, as we stretch through the first full week of April here through April 11th. You can see the cell of it moving from the North Atlantic. You see these bluer colors in this region here right around April 6th. This is slowly pivoting towards eastern North America. This is what's the last gasp here of the polar vortex through April 11th. You can see these lighter colors. There's no blues here, but you can see these lighter colors moving into eastern North America. That means we'll see a cooling trend through mid-April. And before we dive into the weather for your tropics and the rest of all your weather, don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates, especially this hurricane season. Let's continue. All right, so taking a look at the tropics here for the Caribbean, Central America. How is all my friends doing down here? Great to have you here with me. I never let go of this segment of my weather. It goes all year round. And then, of course, it's going to be front and center as we head on into tropical season. This will encompass the first half of my videos, especially from hurricane season onward through the summer and into the fall. Now, here we go into April 3rd. Look at this. We got some showers moving across the Northeast Caribbean. It's particularly Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, down through Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, all the way up here towards the northern Lesser Antilles, the Virgin Islands. And we're just going to continue to watch that as we head through the 4th into the 5th. Look at the Western Caribbean, though. It actually doesn't look that bad. It looks like some clear days are ahead here. You can see where the high pressure center here is just southwest of Bermuda, east of Florida here. So that's going to keep those easterly fetch moving, and that's going to keep the moisture flowing here. You can see here into the 5th, into the 6th, just squeezing out that moisture. Look at east of Trinidad, Tobago here. This looks pretty interesting. Little feature that's resembling kind of a tropical wave. We're also going to be watching a front that's going to be digging across the Gulf of Mexico. This could be surging some tropical moisture up across the Yucatan, parts of Belize, eventually Honduras here. Now watch this. This little feature, this time of year, the tropical waves typically don't enter the Caribbean. They pretty much slam into the northern coast of South America here. Pretty clear, continuing around Jamaica and Haiti, but Dominican Republic, some showers kicking up here. Look at across Florida here, stretching across South Florida, the northern Bahamas, and Honduras, Belize, up to Cancun, really wringing out the moisture here. Look at this, though. This looks really interesting. This tropical wave is trying to inch to the north, and it's really increasing some heavy tropical rains here across Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, Barbados here. Watch out. We could be wringing out this moisture here as we head through April 8th into the 9th. It looks very unsettled across the north coast of South America as well. Jamaica continues to look clear here, as does Nicaragua, Haiti, Dominican Republic clearing out here. Puerto Rico, just a few showers around into the northern Bahamas as well. But you can see the trouble spot as we go in through the middle part of April here seems to be the southern Lesser Antilles. That's where we're going to get the kick up of those tropical waves. Now look at this front. There's a front that could make it down just west of Jamaica here by April 13th. You can see into the 14th. Our last frame here kicking up some showers here into the west central Caribbean. Thanks for Tropical Tidbits here for our European model analysis. You can see as we head on into Wednesday, there's those showers moving through the Dominican Republic, parts of Puerto Rico, and watch as we go out here in time through the rest of Thursday into Friday of this week, showers continuing across the north central Caribbean. Now, Jamaica's actually getting some rain out of this model. So through Friday, the GFS really backed off on the rain. European increasing the rain. Now look at through the Lesser Antilles here, Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up to Puerto Rico. We're seeing this surge of tropical moisture. It's actually really clear here in the Northwest Caribbean, with the exception for a few showers come Saturday into Sunday. Most of that remains to the south, though. Now look at Trinidad, Tobago. This is the area that I was locating here for you on the GFS. It's really pushing up here towards the south in the east here. Now, this model keeps it mostly to the south and to the east here, so we'll continue to watch it. We continue to get showers moving through the northern Lesser Antilles, Virgin Islands, through the Dominican Republic, and a few showers here through Jamaica during this time period. You can see the high pressure is a little bit further to the east here on the European model. That allows these showers to orientate a little more out of the east-southeast on this model. And you see this front dropping down April 8th into the 9th across the Yucatan, northern Honduras, Belize getting some heavy rain, northern parts of the Bahamas. We'll continue to watch it here because it looks like at this point, by about April 11th, we start to get a surge of moisture across these islands here from the northern coast of Honduras through Jamaica, eastern tip of Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos here of the Bahamas, and right through the central Lesser Antilles here. We're going to see those flare-up of showers and thunderstorms. Now, heavier rain and storms on the island of Hispaniola, especially the higher terrain of Dominican Republic right around April 12th into the 13th. Watch out. It does look like we start to get this surge of moisture from the eastern Pacific that's going to move across Panama and Costa Rica here through Jamaica, parts of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico here, so watch out. This becomes, through the middle of the month, the hotbed for some heavy rain. Lesser amounts here on the European model. We'll go over those rainfall amounts momentarily, but look at this. April 15th, look at these heavy rains moving through parts of Jamaica and Dominican Republic and Haiti here. This is with that stalled frontal boundary that just kind of sticks with us here through the end of the forecast period. Sea surface temperature analysis, I have to say, sea surface temperatures have been cooling down a bit, especially out here in the Cape Verde region. But look at here, the Western Atlantic is still running well above average here through the Caribbean, the Gulf, and the Western Atlantic here. We're averaging about 1.5 to 2.5 degrees above your average. Rainfall amounts here across the Western Caribbean. Let's see what we got going on here as we just scroll this in time. This takes us through the weekend. You can see that trouble spot continuing to be way down here through Costa Rica and Panama. But look at this area through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. Yeah, we're seeing an average of about 15 to as much as 45 millimeters of rainfall here. So we'll continue to watch it here. It does look rather interesting. Now watch as we surge through next week. We get that front moving in to the Northwest Caribbean. Of course, that's going to stir up the northern coast of Honduras here, upwards of 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall here. And then eventually towards Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti, these areas towards the middle of the month. So look at the trouble areas, southern Belize, northern parts of Honduras here, upwards of 170 millimeters in some of these higher terrain. Jamaica, yeah, you're averaging 50 to about 100 millimeters here over the next 2 weeks. And look at here in Dominican Republic, some of these higher terrain could be upwards of 125 millimeters. Averaging out, though, across the entire area here, though, of about 75 to about 90 millimeters. And let's stretch over here into the Eastern Caribbean through the weekend. You can see the rough spot here is going to be the Northeast Caribbean islands. We're going to average out here roughly about 40 to 60 millimeters. Now watch as we go out through the middle of the month. We got to watch this area down through Trinidad, Tobago. It's going to be close here. The Europeans not really bringing that in too much, more closer to 40, 50, maybe 60 millimeters here. However, if we switch over to the GFS model here, you can see what's happening. Look at Trinidad, Tobago here on the GFS model, really getting in on some serious rainfall totals here upwards of 100 to maybe as high as 150 millimeters. And here we go with our Canadian weather outlook here. Yeah, it's a quiet start, but things are going to be really rapidly intensifying as we head on into the day on your Wednesday. Look at this, southern Ontario. It's going to be a mess. This big snowstorm blasting in. That rain snow line moving through parts of Toronto and London, so you'll get into plain rain. Mixing out here in Ottawa to Montreal as we head through early morning Thursday morning. And look at all the way into Quebec, New Brunswick, Western Nova Scotia, and eventually overtaking all of Nova Scotia. What this is going to be a big warm front blasting through here. So eventually, it starts out as heavy snow and then transitioning over to heavy rain. And that low pressure moves over towards the Canadian Maritimes. The next little system here across the prairies moving towards Ontario, bringing some scattered snow showers. But, once again, we're going to look at April 5th here. Look at this. Another type system here, big warm front blasting in. Rain to mix of sleet, freezing rain over to rain. And look at that. Another wet snowstorm here on the northern fringe of this system that moves across the United States. So you get the idea here. Ontario and Quebec, a hotbed for snow. We will have some light systems out here in British Columbia as well, moving in a bigger system more towards April 7th and 8th. Here is that system moving through Quebec. Another spin up low here as this tries to go coastal somewhat here into the Canadian Maritimes. So you kind of get the picture here. It's going to be winter versus spring, just like it is in the United States, although there's more cold air to work with here in Canada. And if we take a look at our snowfall amounts here across Canada, yeah, it's going to be across central parts of Ontario, Quebec, and then as we surge through April 9th, 10th, through the middle of the month, you can see where the lion's share of the snow is. Obviously, the west coast here, those mountains getting upwards of 60-plus centimeters. Look at here, though. Central parts of Ontario, you're looking up towards that 15, 25 centimeters. Parts of Ottawa here over to Montreal. We could be looking at some of these areas approaching 20 centimeters. Northern part of New Brunswick, 25 centimeters, not out of the question. Look at parts of central and southern Quebec, southeastern Quebec here. Some of these areas are approaching 50 or 60 centimeters over the next 2 weeks. Here we go with our temperatures. Let's take a look at this. This is going to be the big story. Look at this surge of warmth. Mid to high 80s here in southern Ohio on Wednesday. While you're struggling to get out of the 40s here in Buffalo, New York, and Albany. So we're going to have that temperature pattern, very tight gradient set up here. Look at this. Some 90-degree temperatures here across Tampa area, South Texas. Getting very warm here now. As we move throughout the week, you see Thursday here, April 3rd, we're surging that warmth, 80-degree warmth all the way up to Philadelphia here. Looking really warm here across the interior northeast. 60s back in through parts of the Ohio Valley as that front crashes through. Now look at this Friday. This actually doesn't look too terribly bad. Upper 50s and lower 60s across much of this region. But look what's happening here. We got 90s all the way up to interior parts of North Carolina, South Carolina, and 90s all along the Gulf Coast in Texas here. Look at that. That is crazy. Heading on into your Saturday, this warmth just builds. And this warmth is going to create explosive severe weather thunderstorm development in between here. So we're going to see some torrential rains and some very explosive thunderstorms. This active pattern is slowly going to shift to the east here. You see this mid to upper 80s, near 90 in a very good portion of the Carolinas, parts of southeastern Virginia here down into parts of Florida. And as we head on into your Monday, we're trying to surge some cooler air here across the lakes in the northeast, 40s and even some upper 30s here across northern Michigan. But we're holding on to upper to 80s to near 90 here in Florida, but we are scouring lots of 60s and 70s across the south.
Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, being to discrepancy for Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Wednesday is going to be a rainy day. We're looking at about a 10th to a quarter of an inch of rain, heading up towards 50 to about 52 degrees. As we head on into Wednesday night and Thursday, showers and thunderstorms continuing, especially into Thursday. We could have the threat, maybe a marginal risk of a strong thunderstorm with gusty winds. But the big story will be mid-70s for the high. A little bit cooler on Friday, mostly sunny, 60 degrees. And Saturday, more rain into Sunday as well. A very wet and rainy weekend, maybe a half an inch to an inch of rain.
And before we continue with more weather coverage, check out these amazing, awesome maps from my affiliate here.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern.